Hello, this is Richard the Dick Coughlin, 666. How are you? And yes, as you might have expected, I have to really respond to Pat Condell's video that he made yesterday called Freedom is My Religion. It was weird when sitting down and trying to think of a way I could... a quote or a comparison I could make. I found myself going back to Christian apologist C.S. Lewis in a question he once asked about Jesus, that the guy is either a lord, a liar, or a lunatic. And that really, Pat, is what you have to be. Of course, we know you're not a lord. By your own admission, you can't be. But you can be a liar. And I don't think you're a lunatic. You're far too lucid. This is probably going to be quite a long video, and the reason for it is because I want to, just in the off chance that Pat is neither a liar, a lunatic, or a lord, but he's actually just a complete idiot, I want to go through all the things he seems to have missed in recent videos. Because you start off your video, Pat, you're talking about how you've been excommunicated by the atheist community. Wonderful. Yeah, play the martyr. Yeah, you've been excommunicated. Yeah, that's why you've got 125,000 subscribers, isn't it, Pat? Because you've been excommunicated from the atheist community. First of all, there is no atheist community. There happen to be a lot of atheists on here, and believe it or not, Pat, not all of them think that you are great. And some of them, quite frankly, have been, along with myself and many others, have been very vocal in our disapproval of certain things you have said and done in your videos. And that's our position, Pat. And I'd like to sort of clear up some matters for you. Now, I'm going to be addressing not only Condell's video, I'm going to be going over old points as well. And I'm also going to be addressing certain things that I tend to sort of hear in every video. So if you can't be bothered to watch all of this, you just want to leave some sycophantic arse-licking thing down there for Condell, or some just... then fine. Because I'm over this. I really am. Let's go through this, Pat. First of all, you talk about how that you've been martyred, you've been excommunicated, which makes it sound like there's a conspiracy, because you've got that kind of brain, Pat. You've got that kind of wonderful conspiratorial way of thinking. And you talk about how freedom is your religion, and like almost every other religious person, the way your freedom works for you seems to be one of a lot of double standards and hypocrisy. Like a lot of people are. You talk about how, you know, it seems that when you're it's like when you're talking about stuff on Islam, and people are all too happy to criticise you when it comes to Islam, because there's a soft jihad, or a stealth jihad, or jihad spice, scary jihad, and baby jihad, and whatever. You know, use your clever little language any way you fucking want. Because of course people will say that, oh, there's no such thing as an Islamophobe, it's a made up word. Well, all words are made up. And you want to discuss the validity of the word Islamophobe, that's fair enough. That's one thing. But you can't sort of complain that you're using a made up word that at the same time use Islamo-fascist, Islamo-Nazi, Islamo-sympathiser. Because they're made up words too. So yeah, get some consistency there. And yes, you are being... people are responding to your opinions. And you're saying, oh, so it seems that your opinions... It's not that, Pat. It's the actual facts-based part of your argument that makes no sense. And it's the inconsistency part of the argument. And I'm going to go through this very slowly for you, because it seems that you have a problem dealing with this. Let's have a look, shall we, Pat? First of all, you talk about how it's all... atheists get all politically correct. If you listen to the atheist community, you'd never do videos on Islam. Well, do you know what, Pat? If I listened to the atheist community, I'd never have done videos about you, would I? Now, let's just recap over the last few videos. I'm just going to stick to the videos I have done mainly, and the points that are brought up. You went on a couple of videos ago are going on about how the First Amendment in America is important and we should value the First Amendment, whilst asking people to sign the petition to get the Jihad Prevention Act set up by Tom Tancredo, yes, the fundamentalist Christian nutter, Tom Tancredo, who claimed that Obama is the greatest threat to the freedoms of America. You claim to value the First Amendment, and yet this Jihad Prevention Act violates that First Amendment. The First Amendment is the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the freedom of people to express their opinion, and this is a bill that, if it was passed, would violate that First Amendment. And people will always go, well, what's wrong with opposing Sharia law? Right? Nothing's wrong with opposing Sharia law. There's nothing wrong with that. Trying to get a bill passed that prevents people from being able to express their opinion regarding it, what is that? That's not First Amendment. That's not America. In the video you made about the mosque at Ground Zero, you told several lies in that one. You said that it opens on 9/11. It doesn't. And in order for it to open on 9/11, Pat, this building will have to be built in record time. Like, record time. And in your video you give it all this stuff about how you're sick to your stomach that Islam is allowed anywhere near. What do you mean when you say Islam, Pat? Because you're very clever with your words. You always say that you don't hate Muslims, you hate Islam. But then you switch words around very cleverly, don't you? And I understand how you say the Islam is incompatible with Western values, whatever that is. But if you're going to restrict the freedoms of people who come from these oppressive countries, and they come over here, and then you put the same restrictions on them that they would have in those countries, but just to suit your needs, you're really no better than them. That's not part of Western values. And it seems to me, Pat, you're very... You sort of... So you're British when it suits you. You talk about Europe and you're European when it suits you. And you're Western. Yeah, let's base our prejudice on a frigging direction, shall we? Let's base it on that. You said that this centre is going to cost... This mosque at Ground Zero is going to be worth... it's going to cost $100 million, and no one's about to say where the money's coming from. Well, the money... Yes, they are, Pat, again. This is not very difficult. The building is owned by a Muslim who bought the building. It was dilapidated. It was kind of ruined. It used to be a shoe factory, I think, after 9/11. The guy who owns it is a Muslim who works in a Christian college. And you talked about in that video about how America's about the individual rights and the liberties of others. Well, it's his fucking right to build that building. And I wouldn't mind this as much, Pat. But do you know, I don't know how many people know this, a little while ago, about a week ago, it was announced that a load of a Christian evangelical group has made plans to build a $100 million Christian centre near Ground Zero, in around about the same area as the mosque. To quote Dev Shell 2, this is going to be some sort of religious arms race down at Ground Zero. Does that make you sick to your stomach, does it, Pat? Do you sit up all night sick to your stomach going, oh God, I can't believe it, oh God. And in that video you talked about imagined insults, as if there's anything more than imagining that this is an insult. So that would be fine then, because you're opposing... I mean, I'm going to be consistent. I don't have a problem with them building a Christian centre. Don't have a problem. It's their goddamn right. You're not going to get rid of people's beliefs, and you're not going to be able to help people come into the age of reason by restricting their age of reason rights. It's not your place, Pat, to tell people how they can and cannot live and what they can and cannot do. It's not your place to do that. It's not your place to impose it, because that's what religious people would have you do, and they're wrong for that. But the First Amendment of America, the First Amendment protects people. The First Amendment is all... You don't need a Jihad Prevention Act. You've already got a system in place that will never that will not allow Sharia law to be employed in America. And in that video, Pat, you talked about how Islam it's incompatible with our values and freedoms, and any Muslim who tells you differently is a liar. Any Muslim. So don't tell me. Don't come here saying, oh, Pat just hates about... No, that is a statement, a bold statement. Any Muslim. Islam is already here in the West, Pat. It has been for centuries. You can show your pictures of those nutters at those protests all you want, and those people are fucking scumbags, right? You know, is Buster Rhymes, who is a Muslim, is he a threat? Is Robin van Persie, the Dutch footballer, is he a threat is he a threat to the Western way of life? Is Snoop Dogg a threat to the Western way of life? Flavor Flav, for fuck's sake, Flavor Flav from Public Enemy is a Muslim. And you might say, well, they're not real Muslims. Well, whatever then. If we're going to allow, if Christians can call themselves Christians and ignore 75-80% of the sodding Bible, then a Muslim can call themselves a Muslim and ignore 80% of the sodding Quran. Right? You talk about how moderate Muslims don't speak out. You always go on about how moderate Muslims are silent. Well, I made a video about this a while ago, showing how easy it is to find out this is not true. In your UKIP video, let's talk about UKIP. First of all, in the UKIP video, you parroted the 75% of laws in the UK are made in the EU. I made a video a couple of weeks ago called Debunking UKIP, where I showed why that is wrong. And in your UKIP video, I made the first video I made about you, Sonia. It was really about the UKIP thing in the general election. You actually responded to videos that people were asking you about UKIP, and your response was very confusing, Pat, because first of all you said that this is a single issue election, and you agree with UKIP on the single issue that they represent because you think that's the issue that's most important. Fine. Then you say that you're voting for a party who share your core values. But then you said it was a protest vote. It can't be all three, Pat. If you're voting for a party who are right on the issues that you consider matter and who share your core values, it's not a protest vote. You don't have to agree with them on everything, but make your mind up. You pimp out books that are written by and published by people who work for World Net Daily or World Nut Daily, the employers of Molotov Cockfield Mitchell, such as this Muslim Mafia book. You talk about how all Muslims support Sharia law. You talk about CARE. CARE is a fascist organisation. They're a lobby interest group, just like there are lobby interest groups for everyone. And you're complaining because they're getting Muslims internships in places in the government. But you'll also sit there, Pat, and you're saying how they come over here and they don't integrate, they don't fucking... And yet when they try and integrate, they try and get involved in this. You just claim that they're doing it because they want to all take over. Again, generalising all of them. Making out that there's this conspiracy between all of them. Making the comparison between Nazis and Islam. There are 1.5 billion Muslims in this world. Do you think if there were 1.5 billion Nazis that it would be just the same condition in this world? I don't think so. Because of course you don't see the nuances and the differences. You don't see those different parts of human beings. You don't see the fact that there are different factions, there are different degrees, there are different ways that people interpret it, just like with Christianity. You don't see that. You talk about how CARE supports Sharia law. In fact, CARE, most people in CARE, you can type in Muslims who reject Sharia law and you'll find, oh my God, what will you find? You'll find loads of people who reject Sharia law. In fact, most of CARE rejects Sharia law. But no, you don't want to acknowledge that, do you? You won't even say it once. You also said in your mosque video, you said that Islam has no right to call itself a religion. For a guy who talks about religion so much, Pat, you should know what a religion is defined as and why Islam classifies as it. But again, you're going down that Geert Wilders road of, oh, it's not a religion, it's a political... You do know that do you know what worries me more than the people who are trying to take over? The people who already have. Because they're the ones with the power, Pat. America is just over 1% Muslim. In this country it's just over 2%. You're shitting your knickers over that? What a girl. You also claim, Pat, in this video that you made, you claim that people always criticise you about Islam, but they have no problem when it comes to Christianity. Well, I don't know if you saw my last video, Pat, but I actually responded to claims you made about Christianity, which were bullshit. You were parroting the same stuff from the Zeitgeist films. You were doing that. I made a video of that. So, again, Pat, you're lying. You talk about how if you criticise Islam, everyone's all quick to jump up and down and call you a racist. Again, Pat, this is actually a straw man argument, Pat, because yes, there are some people who are going to do that. I'll explain why in a bit. But your reasoning for it, Pat, was laughable. Right? Lots of Sikhs and Hindus agree with what I say on Islam. Are they racist too? Well, first of all, are you saying that Sikhs and Hindus can't be racist? Because there's a Sikh in the BNP, Pat. Are you saying that guy is not... No, you're not a racist, Pat. I'm going to say this now, so everyone can hear me. Pat Condell is not a racist. He's a bigot. And you do this, and you commit this same flaw that you're doing. You say that anyone who accuses you of being a bigot is a bigot. And they're bigots because they call you a bigot for saying things that are bigoted and untrue. All this list here, all this shit. This is just from your last few videos, Pat. These are all... This is not just a case of criticising your opinion, mate. These are factual inaccuracies, lies, propaganda, and made-up bullshit. And you translate all of that into this wonderful little sort of thing where, oh God, it's just politically correctness gone mad, isn't it? It's just everyone. It seems they have a problem when I criticise Islam. Yes, Pat. Right. Let me go through. This is a list of YouTubers who have made videos about and to you in the last few months, right? Obviously me, Tornado Creator, Ujama Flipper, Orion Syndicate 910, Ominous Voice, Not My Name 2050, Rise of Atheism, Happy Cabby, Conference Report, Dog Shield 2, Got That Funk, Stan Marsh, All Babies Are Atheists, Paul Chartley, Red Fist of Europe, Big Straight Owl, Greytex, The Elmo Is Evil, Gabby Otter, Tommy from the Bronx, Ashes is the Raven, Dragon Atheist, Stealth Badger, Silver Era 309, Scouts Casper, X Ancient Atheist, Chaos Z, The True Poker, Rosebush, Relaxed Godfolk, Godless Haze, Shredder is Evil, Edible Napalm, Leighton Way, Physical Conservative, D-Land and Cole, and The Amazing Atheist. So all of these people, Pat, every video these people made, all of them, all they did was say, oh Pat, please stop talking about Islam, please, you're wrong, no, don't say anything about Islam. That's all they said, isn't it? They didn't say anything. They didn't bring up one valid point, did they? No, they're just PC, they're just too politically correct to go, man, you arsehole. You're either not watching our videos, or you are watching them and you don't care. Let me clear up some other things here. Talk about when you criticise Islam. Lies, Pat, do not equal criticism. And not everybody who opposes you is a politically correct left-wing liberal PC thug. Are you saying The Amazing Atheist is soft on Islam? And I want to clear up one thing, because people go on about this. This thing about political correctness, Pat, that you love, because you're a Daily Mail headline generator. I realise that there are people out there who are oversensitive and get upset at the slightest thing. They always have done. Political correctness is not a new thing. It's just a new word to describe something we've already had, right? People have always been offended by certain things. People have always been sensitive about certain things. But the attitude that you create, Pat, is that anything politically correct is bad, and anything that's politically incorrect is good. Just because something is politically correct doesn't mean it's wrong. And just because something is politically incorrect doesn't mean it's right. You know, homophobia, sexism, racism, these are all politically incorrect in a sort of in a greater understanding. They're politically incorrect. Is it wrong for people to be offended or upset or to fucking despise those things? Because they're politically incorrect, so therefore they must be right. Deal with the fucking issue. If you're just going to listen to someone and you don't like what they say and you're going to say, you're just being politically correct. So what? Are they being right? Discuss the issue. Just to dismiss it. And what you people who are so anti-PC that you actually become political incorrectness is now where you refuse to do anything that is politically correct. And anyone who says anything politically correct, you dismiss them offhand. What you fuckers don't realise, this is a good example of what I'm talking about, of how when you lower yourselves to the same standards of those you oppose, you don't change anything, right? You see, because what you people who are so anti-PC don't realise is you've created this little world where everything that's politically correct is, from your perspective, anti-PC, and you respond to it with the same vitriol and the same level of offence and anger as someone who's overly PC responds to anti-PC. You have achieved nothing. Deal with the sodding issue and stop getting so bloody right? Deal with the issue. There are people who will throw the racist card around when it comes to Islam, when it comes to people who criticise it. And there is a reason for this. And you must be able to see this, Pat, as well as I can. Because I see it in this country, and I'm sure it's the same in America, right? Whether you like it or not, right? Islam and Muslim have become code words to the far right for immigrant, Arab, foreigner, and they use them as a way of trying to make their bigotry socially acceptable. You know this, Pat. That's the point. I'm not saying you are trying to do that and that's what you think, Pat. I'm not saying that, because Islam is a religion, it's not a race. But because it's a minority, and because the majority of that minority are from of a different race, and because these days we live in a day where criticising religion is acceptable, and criticising someone because their skin colour is bad, you have to accept this, Pat. And when it doesn't help your case when you spout continued lies that pander to these people, and you do pander to them, Pat. If you do not believe me when I say that, you should read your sodding comments section once in a while. You want to talk about the dogmatic fucking people on YouTube, the atheists who are so dogmatic about this, and it's us who are you want to talk about dogma and sheep? You should read your comment sections, Pat. And this is not an argument against you. This is just me trying to stick one to people who seem to think that I am too soft on Islam. Well, first of all, let me say this. I've actually got a video coming up that I've been working on for a little bit, which is actually going to be addressing Muslims. It's going to be dealing with the radical Muslim group Revolution Muslim. So before you sit there accusing me of this, that and the other, right, shut the fuck up, right? But also, I was quite vindicated the other day when I got a message. I got an email from someone thanking me for my videos and the work I do, and how they appreciate and understand and are very grateful for it. And do you know who that was from, Pat? That was from someone who is on the Council of Ex-Muslims. You might have heard of them, Pat. They used to be linked, I don't know if they still are, on your channel page. Yes, I got a big up and kudos from the Council of Ex-Muslims. Because freedom is your religion, Pat, and you said it perfectly. It's your religion, isn't it? It's you. It's what you want. Freedom, Pat, and I said this before and I'll say it again. Freedom comes at a price. The price is the risk you might lose it. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. That doesn't mean the price of freedom is eternal vigilantism. You don't fight oppression with oppression. And yes, there are going to be people who come over here, or people who live here now, who want to take over. There are people already over here who have taken over. You want to live in this paranoid, fearful world, Pat, you do that. Do you know what? Because your freedom, Pat, it's not your freedom. It's our freedom. And you can't sit there and go, well, I want the freedom to do this, and I want freedom to do that, and oh, I don't like what they're doing, I don't like what they're saying, I don't like it, they scare me, so you can't say it anymore. Yeah, go away, la 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 la. That helps the problem, doesn't it, Pat? Banning stuff doesn't work. I'm going to end this video, and I suspect this might be the last video I ever do to you, Pat Condell, because it's quite clear you don't care anymore. You've lost all interest. You are to atheism what Onision is to vegetarianism. You've got your big base now, you've got it all built up, you're on a roll, you're playing into that fear, that demagogue role, and people point it out, and when they do, you ignore it. You just go, oh, well, I have freedom, I have freedom, I have freedom. No, you're not. You're for freedom of what you want to do, and fuck everyone else. I've learnt something very important over the last 24 hours. You don't always get what you want in this world. And sometimes things happen to you, or things happen to scare you, upset you, make you afraid. And the way you react to that, Pat, you don't react to it with more fear. You don't stoke the fear by making others afraid too. Don't sit there and feel that this is the way to deal with it. The way to deal with it is to close everyone off and stop it now. I don't like the way I don't like how it's going. I'm scared. I don't want to stop it now. Live in the fear. Live with it. Because everyone's scared, Pat. You can't win when you just propagate that fear. People like to make the comparison between religion when it's saying it's a disease, saying it's a cancer, it's a virus. I'm going to take a quote here from a very weird source. Patch Adams. You treat a disease, you win, you lose. You treat a person, you win. No matter what the outcome. And I don't want to die looking back on my life thinking all I did was make things worse. I don't want to look back on my life and think all I did was try my best to manipulate and lie and spout off as much crap as I could in order to get people to think my way. Because if you don't think my way, that's fine. You don't have to. There's too much hate in this world now, Pat. And yours is just as unwelcome as anyone else's. So fuck you. You sad little old man. Richard did it Coughlin. 666. Good night. And God bless.